They say it's a completely new type of warfare, and it is legal. It's legal.
I was doing collaborations with these different companies that I liked, like, Supreme or Bathing Ape, Undercover, Comme des Garçons. And slowly I kind of worked with everyone I wanted to, so the next logical step seemed to be open a shop.
Kaws' style allows him to collaborate with all sorts of brands, from sneaker companies to musicians, without sacrificing his signature vision. He stays true to the art, which is a key reason why he's so popular. One untitled painting of his was purchased for just over $10,000. 9 years later, it was sold for $143,300. Another originally purchased for $430,000, in just 3 years' time sold for $3.9 million. It's safe to say anyone who bought those at the original price made a great investment. The only problem is the high price of art makes it out of reach for us mere mortals. Until now, thanks to Masterworks, a game-changing startup based in New York City's financial district. You see, with Masterworks, you can curate your own art collection for a fraction of the cost. Masterworks acquires art from legends like Kaws, Basquiat, and Banksy, and securitizes them, which allows you to invest in shares of the artwork and potentially see impressive returns when it sells. In fact, in the past 12 months, they paid out over $25 million in net returns to their investors. Now, Forbes, CNN, and CNBC are raving about the idea. With press like that, demand is surging, and over 617,000 people have signed up so far. Offerings like Kaws have sold out within minutes, but our subscribers can skip the waitlist and claim a complimentary, no-obligation account today at the link in the description. Now back to the video.
Play against the sort of, paintings that are 100 years old and different things that at their time were, sort of shocking and then become the norm. You kind of learn a lot about people and different artists and how they work at that time, and I can apply all that now. And I don't really set any guidelines on when something needs to be finished or if like a certain type of imagery needs to be pushed out of the work. I just sort of let things change and cross-pollinate. I mean, scale's another tool. It's another thing. It's just like the medium you choose to work in, the scale you choose to work. I spent so much time making these sort of small works, and then, you take the same work that you're making small and you shift the scale, and then suddenly you change the dynamic between the viewer and the work. There's really no difference between the two worlds, It's just making work, it's making paintings. I never really, when I was doing graffiti, I never considered myself like a graffiti artist. At the same time I was doing that, I was in college, I was doing realist oil painting and looking at like Bouguereau and Sargent and Jerome. And so it's, I was always interested in all kinds of art. I never really kind of pigeonholed myself into one focal point. Just the same way that people try to like compartmentalize you with like, oh, there's people that know me from graffiti and they're like, oh, you're a graffiti artist. Oh, you're a toy designer. If people, of their first interaction with me is at a museum, they're going to be like, oh, contemporary artist. And I always felt like those labels are unnecessary. I never really strategize the color before the painting starts.
Oh,
so I'll put in, usually start with a main color. So I'll put in a gray and then respond to that and respond to that and respond to that. So it's sort of like a lot of times I start with these colors that sort of kind of don't work, and then I try to rescue myself back from it. I mean, the work I make for myself. It's, it's just sort of what I need to do in my mind, It's not, but, you do realize that there is an audience and there's certain ways that you can get the work out there. Like not every artist is interested in social media. I tend to like it. I feel like it's a fun sort of free dialogue with people, But I'd have, instead of taking money, I just took stock of toys. Fast forward to 2002, I started my own website, and I think that was like, it just really changed things. I felt like I needed to do something to kind of exist on a more candid level. I could see something and suddenly not like it and kill it, just squash it and not have any second thoughts about it. You want to explore and you want to learn, and so as soon as you figure something out, it can lead you into like, all right, so now what can I do next? And so that's why I like to work on a lot of different materials and sort of get a better understanding for them, and you know, how one can sort of strengthen the other. Yeah, as I started to paint more, and I was, you know, it got to a point where I was like, all right, this is something I think I'm going to do for a while. So when I painted the first billboard, at that time it was a time of like productions with pieces, when, you know, there'd be crews getting together doing these elaborate murals. And when I painted over a billboard, it was almost like I had all that, but I was only on a highway for 40 minutes painting. And, you know, just seeing the picture, and then I started thinking about how it set it into a time frame, and the parallels between graffiti and advertising, and then I just sort of got more interested in that. So I just focused on, you know, taking out ads and painting over them, and I'm pretty thorough as how I sort of compose exhibitions, but I also leave a lot of opportunity for change. I kind of like what I'm doing, and I just want to do what I'm doing better. You know, I don't have a key thing like I have to do this. Try to just kind of do what I'm doing at the moment, focus on that, and try to do it well. You know, I never really had a plan. I don't think there could have been a plan for the sort of trajectory that my work's taking. When I was thinking about going to school, I just wanted to learn to paint. Just being stuck in a class where you're painting and drawing and doing creative projects, like that kind of didn't exist at any point up until then. Before that, I kind of didn't really even know what I was going to get into in life. It was good. It kind of kept me out of trouble, kept me focused. I'd only known my work in 2D in the past from drawing and painting. I've been doing that pretty much my whole life. So to suddenly have like a sculptural thing, and it really just got me thinking about what else sculpturally I can make. I've always felt that it's best for myself to sort of stay very open-minded and flexible and just sort of get into my interest. You know, I never imagined that people in the fashion world would be interested in that kind of stuff. And in fact, I thought that I would get lawsuits. I really thought, like, if I met this person, I'd get some sort of anger. And it wasn't the case. I figured, like, look where you grew up. There's not much to go down, you know? Like I always felt super, at every point of my work. I mean, I could just be really naively optimistic, but I felt super fortunate to be at the moment where I am, you know? You know, you can lose it and gain it. But it's not like you're not dying. I feel like I've always put myself completely into the stuff that I do. It's just really naively optimistic about things. And it's worked. I mean, knock on wood, you know, who knows? You'll be doing a story about me and bankrupt and selling my home. But at this moment, it's worked out. So I'll just pick from things, and it doesn't really matter where it's coming from, whether, you know, some of the planks in the other room are from like the exploded barrels from, you know, 1940s UBI works. And so it's almost like a collaging. I just realized within all these different cultures, there's these people, and they were growing up on the same things I grew up on. You know, the language could be different, but they understand, you know, like dope is Homer Simpson. It just became fascinating how imagery and these objects can just coexist in all cultures. You know, Mexico City, you go into the markets, and there's little piñatas of SpongeBob, and I just really liked to sort of feed off that imagery and how I can kind of inject my work into it. Yeah, and you go through phases. You kind of get into little niches, and you sort of look at a lot of stuff, and then, you know, as you kind of pull a new artist into your vocabulary, you sort of like start realizing how that relates to all the other artists you've been looking at for years, and, you know, so you see stuff here, and, you know, you see like Augustine, you think about Robert Crumb and early Peter Saul and all this, like, you sort of start to like add the dates up and see the parallels.